Alright, so a lot of international students leave their home country and move abroad to different countries for a particular vision, for a particular dream. They'll do their bachelor's, they'll do their master's, eventually start working full time and pay off that mountain of education loan for which maybe they've put their home as collateral. Once that is done, they'll get their PR, they'll get their citizenship, they'll get their parents to that particular country, get a house, get their dream car, travel, get a partner, get kids, etc., etc. But let me tell you one thing: the personality traits and the mindset that these international students have, that a majority of international students have, will not get them to that particular point. Now, I learned this the hard way. I learned this after spending three and a half years in Australia, where I moved from Delhi, from India, and that is why I'm making this video on the 7 principles for international students that will eventually make them a millionaire, and hopefully myself as well. Alright, hello, welcome back to a new video on this channel. Without any delays, we'll get right into it. Okay, so the first thing is that your part-time jobs, the money that you're making will not get you anywhere. Why is that? Because I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I came here in January 2022 and did probably 4 to 5 jobs at one point. I have changed about 10 to 12 different part-time jobs over the course of my bachelor studies. And one thing I realized very late into my international student journey is that the $50 that I'm making by doing 2 more Uber Eats deliveries, or the $30 that I'm making by staying back at my part-time job, is not going to get me anywhere. The most valuable thing that I have had in my hands is time. I'd rather invest, or I'd rather recommend you to invest time into networking, into connection building. Because let me tell you one thing, every week you're earning probably at an average $650 a week, with now the restrictions going to 24 hours a week as an international student. And through that, you're anyways not going to be able to pay your tuition fees. You'll not be able to pay your education loan. The main saving, the main paying off of all of those things will happen once you get a full-time job, once you maybe start a business, or once you start investing time into different side hustles on the side of your full-time job. So the 2 to 3 years you have as a student, I'd rather invest in networking. I'd rather invest in connection building. A question that I'll ask you for that, if you're a current international student, sit by yourself and think about how many people you know actually in the city that you're in. How many people do you know who are in different occupations, different trades, different industries, different businesses? If you want to get work done, do you have people that you can ask a favor from, or will you have to depend on some of your other friends who have those sort of connections? Your money, your part-time job, yes, I'm not asking you to not do all of those things. Earn that $500, earn that $600, get your rent done, get your living expenses done, get your grocery and everything done. Do not ask for money from your parents. But what I'm trying to say is that every day, every week, every month, invest time into networking, into connection building, into starting a side hustle of yours. Maybe that becomes a business. Yeah, that is the first principle. I'd rather focus more on volunteering, on part-time jobs that will eventually get me a full-time job. I'd rather invest more time in coffees, in networking, on LinkedIn, posting, making a portfolio for myself, doing free courses, anything and everything that builds me up for success once I graduate and once I get into that full-time job structure. Alright, the second principle: learn skills, not just subjects. Let me tell you one thing, the skills you have, the skill set you have, the different ways you can add value to any other person, any other organization, any other business, and the things that you know matter way more than the subject that you're pursuing, the degree that you're pursuing, the course that you're pursuing, or even the university that you're pursuing from. Your degree is great. It's a really great entry pathway into the industry that you want to get into. If you want to get into data science, Masters of Data Science is perfect for you to get into that particular industry in that particular country. But the real income, the real dollars, the real value comes from valuable and in-demand skills, which are most often than not learned outside the classroom, but in the same domain, in the same industry. A lot of people hate me for saying this, but the degree is just a piece of paper. But it's the skills, it's the actual skills that matter more. And honestly, not just in your industry. in other industries as well. Maybe you want to go into entrepreneurship, maybe you want to start up a business. So the general skills such as copywriting, such as video editing, such as being confident enough to speak on camera, your presentation skills, your people skills, your networking skills, your conversation skills, your communication skills, all of these things, even though that you're an engineer, matter more than the certain technical topics that you're learning in your degree. Again, I'm not telling you to not study. Again, I'm not telling you to not have all of those things under your belt. But what I'm trying to tell you is that the skills, the different technical skills you have in your industry and in other industry that you can then bring to your industry matter more than just the subjects or the technical knowledge or the know-how that you're stressing more about. Alright, third principle, try to build multiple streams of income early, because through that you will actually understand how Australia really works. First priority, get your part-time job sorted, because that actually pays your rent, pays your bills, pays your food, pays your drinks, etc. Even now that I'm working full time, even if I want to start something on the side, even if I want to start something as a business, I will not let go of my 9 to 5, because that is security. That genuinely gives me security, that irrespective of that 5 to 9 thing working or not, I know that I'm showing up to work from 8 to 4, which will pay my bills, which will pay for my investments, which will pay for everything. But this principle really helps and really helped me to understand how Australia genuinely works, how the mindset and the lifestyle of people that are born and brought up here and that have migrated here as well really works. So how do you build multiple streams of income as an international student? Freelancing, tutoring, try content creation, try dropshipping, try reselling, try thrifting, going to thrift stores, flipping things on Facebook Marketplace, starting different side hustles, starting different businesses. Because as an international student, the margin of error is really small. So one thing that has stuck by me is that even if you're starting side hustles as an international student, you fail cheap, but you learn fast. You actually learn how Australia works. You actually learn how and what people want to consume and like to consume. So when in the future, when you have a solid business idea, or even if your side hustle or your part-time business as a student turns into a full-time business, you know everything, you know exactly how to make it right. Fourth one, master the money game. Learn how tax works, learn how superannuation works. For people who are watching it from India, that means your provident fund, your PF. Learn how tax return works, learn how investing works, learn how saving works. Start investing in Australia. Even if you're investing in a safest mutual fund or your safest ETF or your safest, you start an SIP in the safest fund available out there, the margin of error is really small, because that is like, if I'm talking to someone from India, that is like a Nifty 50. So as soon as you start investing in Australia, you start building a base. Track each and every dollar in the start. Track each and every dollar of your income that is coming in. Track each and every dollar of your expenses that are going out. See what bucket of expense you're expending a lot on. Is it partying? Is it drinks? Is it food? Is it eating out? Is it rent, utilities? Once you start doing that, you will actually start, as I said, mastering the money game. Because as long as you understand Australia, as long as you start learning and reading, upskilling yourself in how tax works, superannuation works, different hacks, different loopholes, how people save tax, how people save tax by investing, save tax by salary sacrifice, putting their money into superannuation themselves, and then build that up to getting a house. As soon as you start diving deep into it, that'll really help you in your end goal of the dreams that I mentioned in the first part of this video. Fifth one is thinking long term, not just 20 hours a week. Now, if you watched this video, I had a chat with Yash, who is currently working full time in finance. But when he came here as an international student, he took 2.5 months to acclimatize himself into Australia, to understand how Australia works, to understand how Australian people behave, what their lifestyle is like, what they like to consume, and things so on and so forth, because he knew that he's in a very public facing industry. If he wants to get into finance, if he wants to get into financial planning, at the end of the day, these are the sort of people that he'll be servicing. Once his pocket started, giving up, he didn't have enough savings, then he started to look for part-time jobs that eventually would help him get a full-time job. So even though when he had 2 to 3 different offers from different places, and how he got these sort of offers, because he networked a lot, he talked to a lot of people in those initial 2.5 months, because initially he didn't have the plan to go for a part-time job. So he was rather investing that time into talking to more people, into befriending more people, into making that network, and then he leveraged those networks and got 2 to 3 different job offers. But you know which one he picked up? He picked up the organization, the role, the designation that is more people centric, that is more servicing people, so that he could then prove that part-time job and the skills that he developed in that part-time job to then get a full-time job in finance, obviously after having the technical skills and the technical know-how to work in the finance industry. That's what I'm saying. Play the long-term game, not just 20 hours a week. Yes, there is no shame in working in fast food, retail, etc., hospitality, etc., etc. But if you're, let's say, like Yash, in a public facing industry, I would use that as a stepping stone to get my next role as soon as possible. It is important to understand that every job will give you money, but it's the skills that you should be leveraging to get a full-time role or to get that business opportunity. Sixth one is my favorite one: build a personal brand. Irrespective of what industry you're in, irrespective of whether you're in IT, engineering, marketing, finance, etc., it's very important for you to build a personal brand, because technically you're moving to a new country. You do not have a pre-existing network here, and even if you do, they are leading their own lives. So even if you have family, friends, etc., don't expect them to babysit you. Building a personal brand, how do you build a personal brand? You post on LinkedIn, you post on YouTube, you post on Instagram, you post about your life, you post about your personality, you post about your characteristics. And if you do not want to post, it's completely okay. You show up to different networking events, you talk to people, you show them your personality. So even if you're camera shy and you do not want to post on Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, whatever, at least you can write up a post on LinkedIn and keep sharing your experiences, your personality traits, because here, practical skills, one, and second, how you actually gel within a company, how you actually gel with people from different cultures, from different countries, matters more than the part-time jobs that you've done or the degree that you've pursued. So if I keep two people who pursued Masters of Marketing, but one of them has a stronger digital presence, has a stronger personal brand, they will go for this person even though the other person has more experience, because they know that they can teach them on the job and get the same amount of output, but also lead a more positive and healthier work life. And at the end of the day, understand you're a migrant, so nobody else will market your achievements. Only you can market your achievements. Going forward, Australia is going to become very competitive. So the more attention you have means the more opportunities you'll get, because more people are looking at your work or watching your work. Alright, the last one: discipline is greater than motivation. The biggest separator in the massive amounts of people that are coming into Australia, your particular industry, your particular degree, is not talent, it's not intelligence, it's consistency. The more you show up, the more regular you show up, the more you know about your industry, and the more frequently you communicate that you know all of these things to different sets of people in different networking events. That is what matters, and that is what gets you those new opportunities. So set goals, build routines, do the consistent things right, do the non-negotiables right each and every day. Live by the lifestyle of saving, hustling, resting, and repeat. Obviously, spend time with your friends. Social life is very important, but know your goals, know your non-negotiables, because at the end of the day, as long as you have discipline, as long as you have your own goals, as long as you have your own priorities, that is what matters more. Alright, those were the 7 principles that I try to live by on the daily, that I like to share with anybody and everybody that I talk to, that I feel that will get each and every international student, a migrant, to that million mark or even a billion mark. Because at the end of the day, if we do not dream big, we're not going to get anywhere. So if you like the video, like, share, subscribe, share it with your friends, and I'll see you in the next one.
Music is the reason why I stay.